Please remember, for me, the most critical element in this disaster is suddenness. And in case of heritage, it is a thing which is valued by a generation and it has been handed over to other generation. I have noted down the disasters you will see in earthquake, flood, tornado, or storms of various categories, lightning, breaking up of the glaciers in the Himalayan region. Breaking up of the glaciers in the Himalayan region must have happened for millennia and millennia, but in historical period, that must have happened. We in India came to be aware of its impact on the heritage when the huge glacier breaking created a havoc with Kedarnath temple or near about areas. Before that, it must have happened. For instance, now the science says one gentleman who was doing research on the Moses and the Noah's Ark. Now he was going from place to place. He found ultimately all the symptoms where the huge flood has taken place. It is on the border of the Arunachal, where Sangpo, that means Brahmaputra river is taking a turn, and all the geological elements there clearly shows that a devastating flood maybe a few millennia before. And he said it could have been, I would have called it the flood which inundated the world as described in the Bible, Hebrew Bible, the name Bible, but for the fact it is in the Himalayas. In the Bible, the flood which has been devastated, that was on the plains. But similarly, quite a few places he has identified as a place which could have been flooded, ultimately came to the western part of the, northern part of the Himalayas, entire Afghanistan, etc., that area, and particularly Turkey, Iran, that was the area. Any case, that is not the thing we are talking about. Lightning, lightning cannot be predicted. And lightning destroyed many things. And even now, quite often it's happening, though there are preservation in the sense that lightning, the electricity passes through something to the earth. But still then, number of heritage structures get affected every year by the lightning. Other thing is this, saline water ingress. Today it is happening in a big way. Again, slightly north of Pondicherry up to Bengal border on the eastern coastal line. Now, you remember the Mahabalipuram 7 pagodas? These 6 pagodas have got destroyed or collapsed because of the saline water and also the saline water ingress below. Now, this also needs to be taken care of in today's context. And other thing which I have seen in Ahmedabad also, the building next to a designated monument, because of something, its weakness or other, portion of that building fell on the heritage building, on the monument. That kind of disaster also create damage to the heritage structures, buildings, monuments, etc., etc. Now, what to do about it? Now, we want to preserve the monuments which are there in India almost for 2000 years. But we cannot allow that to go down because of some natural disaster so easily. So what is to be done? How can we anticipate the disasters? That is the main point we have to think about. And I have categorized only 6 elements or 7 elements. Now, excepting lightning, Baki, can those be anticipated? And accordingly, can we work out a resistance plan? Can we strengthen our structures in such a way that it will be resilient to whatever disaster impacts are there? Now, how to do that? That is the main thing. I heard just now you mentioned your second lecture which you heard, and somebody has elaborated the technical thing which can be done to strengthen the monuments, heritage structures to meet these disasters. I hope you remember that. I do not know what exactly she has said, but any idea? Can any one of you tell me what she has said? Anyone? You have heard her? The second lecture, which, okay, I do not know what she has said.
She had mainly talked about the various systems of documenting and assessing the damage.
Okay. Now, let us start with that, documenting. In today's context, we have got various things to document with. Earlier, let us the old Buddhist texts, which are still available, particularly Tibetan. There's a description of a particular monument. And their measurement also in the then context, what could have been given. But today's context, one main thing which you have got, which can give you the very detailed, from the outer side, very detailed account of any heritage building or monument, that is photographs. Various kinds of photographs from various angles, it can be done. Then, third thing in today's context, what's happening, which we are to some extent employing, that is measure drawing. Measure drawing also gives a very detailed account of any monument, building, any structure as such. Now, this is having, this has started. What I find as a student, if you want to have a look at any measure drawing, you might not find it very easy. Though those have been done, and there is somewhere it is locked. But a student, in order to understand that, if he asks for those documents to be seen, it is not so easy to find them, number one. Number two, even if I want to reproduce that somewhere, I find it difficult. We have to go from person to find out where the documents are lying. These are archival material. This archival material should have an access for the students or anybody who is doing research. He has to pay something that has got to be done, and it has got to be kept in a very, very solid position, secure position. Now, this kind of archival data collection and putting them in one place, we don't have as yet that kind of efficient machinery. I do not know, you are only students, as yet you have not started doing research. When you do research, if you try to get this archival material, you may not find it so easy. Now, in Ahmedabad, there were lots of buildings which has been designated as probable heritage buildings on the western part of the river. Now, one of the building's owners, he was keen that his building should be allowed to be pulled down, and he wanted to do some commercial. This building ultimately, it was all the experts opined, it is good, but not that kind of thing which has got to be preserved like that. So the idea was thereafter, okay, we'll have a detailed drawing, measure drawing of the building, which will be available to the future generation and the students particularly. Unfortunately, 3 years have passed. As yet, I do not know whether those drawings have been done and deposited, and if deposited, we suggested sent. But I don't think the owner has done it. We have to pursue to find out that thing. This is number of buildings. Left and right, if you declare something heritage is not enough. I'll tell you later on. But one thing has got to be done. Whenever you do, declare any building to be a heritage building, you have to have detailed measure drawing as archival material to be available to others also if they need it. Okay. But only disaster, sudden thing ki siga how cheese bhi hai. Slow corrosion, erosion. We do not know. Suddenly one day it collapses. Now look at Notre Dame Cathedral. What happened? It's in France. It's in Paris. They are very sensitive to the heritage. And Notre Dame Cathedral, it's as important a factor like a Vishwanath temple in our Hindu civilization. In French culture, Notre Dame is very important. If Notre Dame collapsed, I refuse to believe that French government didn't take care of it, or they didn't employ the modern methodology which is available to protect that kind of building. Yet something perhaps quietly corroded and eroded the entire foundation, for which neither the sensitivity or awareness or technical methodology was available. I have seen collapse of 3, 4 ASI monuments like that. You know Khuni Darwaja in Delhi? From where? From New Delhi to get into the old Delhi. That collapsed. There was ASI all the time looking care of that Darwaja. Another Darwaja on the northwest of Khuni Darwaja, that is not there. That has gone long back before the emergency or after during emergency it collapsed. Chalo, clear cut here. Then another in Ahmedabad, Asuriya Darwaja, it collapsed. It has been re-erected, repaired, but this kind of thing has happened. And I'm quite afraid. The original Jama Masjid of Ahmedabad, have you seen it? That is near Lal Darwaja, bus station ke baaj mein. Have you seen it? All of you or some of you seen it? No. Have you noticed one thing? The pillars which are holding the roof are not in the same alignment. I don't know whether you have noticed it. One day, very recently, I said, "देखो alignment ठीक नहीं है, मैंने सोचा तो नहीं है, हाय ठीक है." Then one gentleman gave me the reply who was accompanying me. Saab 600 years is holding the roof. Don't bother about it. Now, I don't know which attitude to be taken. 600 years they are holding the roof. Don't bother. ठीक है, लगा हो गए, हो सकता है, मुझे पता नहीं. But this is to be seen also. Now, what does it mean? It means fast. Fast is a regime, regular regime of inspection. Regular regime of inspection, what we have declared heritage monument or heritage building. Sorry, I didn't make the distinction clear. What exactly are the two types of heritage thing? One is, tangible heritage. That is, one is monument in Indian context, and other is called heritage structure. Now, these are two monuments which are, some of them are 2000 years old, Sanchi. Now, those are being looked after by a regular institution called ASI, Archaeological Survey of India. Entire thing started with the East India Company. Some of the employees, all of them were not exactly come to loot India or just make some sort of living. Some of them are very sensitive. Those were the younger staff, and they were responsible for identifying the old Indian structures. And each of them, they started their suggestion that this is the way to protect it. But what happened? There's three sets of laws, one for Bombay Presidency, one for Bengal Presidency, and the third one for Madras Presidency. And there is some difference. Ultimately, this was happening in 1840, 1850, 1870, 1890 onwards, they decided that there should be single law, and that was framed. And thanks to Lord Curzon, an uniform act for conservation of the monuments and its remains came out during the Curzon's time, which is still there. Those have been modified, changed. It is called different. And another law came up after All India thing. Each state has got its own state architectural monuments preservation act. Actually, what has happened, those things which are not being covered by the Government of India's ASI, those are being taken up by the state act. They're protected. And by heritage within the structure, this is a very recent phenomenon. It has started from 1985 onwards. That is something is very distinctive, which is not a monument, which has not been protected by anybody, doesn't come under the definition of the monument. How to protect it, those are also important things, and those are very, very valued possession. Then it started. And in Gujarat, we have got some bylaws done, regulations done for preservation, identification and preservation of them. Identification is mostly done as per the things pointed out by INTAC. And preservation, Gujarat has created something, Jaipur has created something, and now more or less across the country, various states have created their own institution and own regulations. Now, these are heritage structures. and other monuments are going on. Ahmedabad, it is very easy for you to follow whatever is, say, Juma Masjid, Ranino Haziro, Rajano Haziro, and the mosques, 28 mosques. These are all monuments. And what have been indicated by the Ahmedabad Corporation as heritage structures, those are available in the long list, of which some of them are very, very important, which is Tongshali building. Have you seen it? Tongshali building in Ahmedabad. A fantastic wood carved building, one of the best in Ahmedabad. Harkumar Banu building. Has anybody seen it? This is beautifully wood carved, timber carved building. These are the things which are called not ASI, but these are called heritage structures, and their conservation is the responsibility of a heritage trust which has been created in Ahmedabad. In Jaipur, they have created a municipal corporation only for the heritage area. Okay, so this is the way it is started. Now, what has happened? Heritage is what we call monuments. Monuments are being conserved by the state government, government of India institution, but their total number now conserved is about 3,000 and some odds, 3,800 or so. Now, today what's happening? Financial backup for their conservation is slightly on the low side. And total number of employees. The persons who come to ASI quite often, the ASI's own employees told me, younger in present day, the persons who do not go to any other department, they come to ASI. So that is their known impression, but it's not all the time true. So ASI main problem which has come up is the lack of finance, lack of manpower. Now, for instance, ASI has got a desire that monuments not only be preserved, but the ambience of the monuments in Chare Baju on all the sides, that also should be retained by not allowing totally incongruous construction to come up nearby. But this is being violated extensively. In Ahmedabad, you can't help it. It has happened much before this kind of rules came in. Ahmedabad, any monument you go, it is surrounded by a motley crowd of various buildings of various ages, of various types. So Rani Sikarino Mosque is a beautiful thing. It is totally surrounded by other type of buildings, and Rani and Rajano Haziro to Batis, we don't speak about it because it's totally crowded and totally covered by odd kind of buildings built over about 120 years or slightly more than that. So this is the position today in the heritage conservation. Even if you do all the kinds of things which I have mentioned and which you heard in the second lecture, that is the various kinds of scientific method to preserve them, that will be of no use unless you tackle these problems of their total coverage by all sort of buildings, creating a totally different, it's a hodgepodge atmosphere. Just look at the Jamma Masjid. If you go by the road, that's Gandhi Road, isn't it? What you see are the shops, multi-story shops. You cannot see, and if you look at the Teen Darwaja, old drawing. Teen Darwaja, fully open on both the sides. Teen Darwaja is not a city gate. Teen Darwaja is a gate through which ceremonially king will pass through. And the Ferguson, you remember, he went gaga over Teen Darwaja, saying that is, compared to that kind of thing, two construction, one done by Constantine and somebody else in Rome, compared to that is far superior. That particular Teen Darwaja done in Rome by Constantine, that was double the height of our Teen Darwaja. But look-wise, proportion-wise, and delicate working-wise, carving, Roman thing was no comparison for this Teen Darwaja. But yet, what is our Teen Darwaja today? It is totally cluttered among the various kinds of various kinds of structures, and vehicles are passing through it. Earlier, the buses used to pass. Even now, bus is going, but small buses, as far as I remember. And Chare Baju street vendors. I can recall in 1978, I was in the Home Department of Gujarat government. Gandhinagar just 72. Gandhinagar just started. My boss was Mr. Khan. He called me and said that I'm telling you something, you write something about it. What was it? That Gandhi Road and Rishi Road should be made one way. So we prepared the thing. It happened for some time. With that, there was another idea that nobody will be allowed to park in the Gandhi Road on both the sides. And thereafter, all the hell broke loose. All the Banias, well-known Banias of Ahmedabad, they came down to the Home Secretary and then to Home Minister, saying, what the hell you mean? We come at about 12 and go back in the 8 o'clock in the night. We can't come walking or bus. We have to come use the car. And where do we park the car? Naturally, Old City never had any place for parking a car. Car was not considered at all. Car was not there. So that was agreed upon. That thereafter, all the owners started parking a car on site. Car parking was not stopped. And then none of them lived in the Old City. The owners of the shops used to live in the other part of the city. Okay, this is the thing that ambience is getting destroyed, and this is being also maintenance also to some extent. There is a paucity of funds for doing the work. So these two things are coming in a big way. And so far as the heritage structures are concerned, it was considered with great fanfare. Ahmedabad became the first World Heritage City in India. Now, what is the main problem there? Can you guess what could be the problem in declaring something as heritage structures is Surat, Ahmedabad, Baroda, Rajkot, big cities? I'm not talking about small cities. What could be the problem? You know, one thing has been done by one of the government officials at the instance of the government. The future of Ahmedabad or future of Gujarat. Now, Gujarat in, say, 2050, what is the mainstay? If you read that report, you'll see the mainstay of Gujarat, urban Gujarat, is going to be real estate development. Real estate development. So, when you declare any structures in the old city as a heritage structure, it cannot be demolished. It has got to be maintained. And this is the thing which the owners of the buildings are not very happy to accept. So this deprives them of the chance of making money by removing the structure and going for the real estate development in a big way. Similarly, Ahmedabad Old City will not be able to take the advantage of transit-oriented zone. In the transit-oriented zone, they can have very high-rise buildings. 10, 12, 15 storied high buildings. They can't do it in the border of the old city and even within the within the 500 meters of that border. Now, if real estate development is going to be the mainstay of the old city or any city, urban center, in that case, Ahmedabad is a bit handicapped. Jaipur also will be handicapped. Jaipur also has been declared. But the advantage of Jaipur, since long, Jaipur has got a tremendous number of tourists coming in. Ahmedabad doesn't have any significant number of tourists. Ahmedabad visitors go that way. Now all the conferences in the winter take place in Ahmedabad. And in that, at least 20, a few lakhs of people come. But very few of them go for the sightseeing in the old city. So tourism as such, old city is not the attraction point. So this is what has happened today. Now, and this is going to happen elsewhere also. The conservation, as I told you, and particularly I'm not elaborating since you have already got the second lecture wherein a lot of details must have been given. The modern scientific method of anticipating what could be wrong and all taking all sorts of precaution to strengthen the structures to absorb that kind of disaster. That is to a great extent possible today. And so far as flood is concerned, you can't do anything, but at least you know how to take out the water as quickly as possible and immediately after the water recedes, to do all the needed repair work of the structures which have got affected by flood. Suppose Jaunpur. Now, Jaunpur, Gomti Ghat is not uncommon. And Jaunpur, you have got the famous masjid and number of old, there's an old town, it is hardly within 50 kilometers of Kashi. So, old city like that Kashi-like thing, but that can be cleaned. Gomti water coming is not uncommon in Jaunpur. Gomti jaake, thodi aage jaake is meeting Ganga. So, this is one thing. But people are not interested because if the heritage designated building falls down, you'll be happy so that you'll get the open space for real estate development. Now, this thing has to be very seriously considered because real estate development, whatever benefits it can give you, that cannot be compensated by what you call TDR, transferable development rights. What is it? Now, you have got, you know the FSI. All of you are very much acquainted with the term FSI, isn't it? Now, you have got the FSI. Something additional FSI is allowed for you, which can be sold in areas wherein higher FSI is allowed, provided government agrees to it, and government will like to give them permission. If you buy that FSI, that in cash has got to be given to the owner who is owning that FSI. Now, that is elaborately has been worked out for the Ahmedabad city. A few persons have benefited, but many more persons will benefited later on. But the question is, this has got to be renewed. After all, decay is all the time. These are all 200 years old buildings, and same thing elsewhere. If you go to Jaipur, if you go to Jaunpur, if you go to Kashi, if you go to Patna, the buildings which will be declared or which have been declared as heritage structures, that will be at least 200 years old or 100 years. This is one thing. But there are buildings which are not 100 years old, which are 30, 40 years old. Those also have been declared heritage structures because of the unique elements in that building. Greatest Sardar Patel Stadium in the Naurampura. Why it is unique? It is folded plated RCC structure in a cantilever fashion. This is the first one in the world. Later on, many other places it has happened. But it is a unique thing. It has got to be preserved. Now, this requires not only money, it requires very high level technical expertise. Fortunately, we have got that expertise from Chennai IIT. They have come forward. They will be giving us the technical advice. It will have to be discussed. It will be done. But other point would be, after the Narendra Modi Stadium on the northern corner of the city, do we require these two big stadiums in one city? So it has got to be kept occupied. That also has been done. This is one of the best possible training centers for cricket. I mean, all our Gujarat cricket modern players, all of them go gaga over in this particular pitch. So it can be preserved. Then comes another building, again a unique heritage building, that is Sanskar Kendra, Lapa Rushes building. Now Sanskar Kendra, of course, will be repaired now. But the difficulty is in modern architecture, if you put the things which are worth preserving from the heritage point of view inside that building, you require to make the entire building air conditioned. It is hell of a job, I see. It is not a one room. It's a huge area, very high in the Ahmedabad heat to keep it air conditioned will drain the municipal finances in a very bad way. So this has got to be thought of. We are conserving it, but perhaps it will not be possible to keep it as a museum. You know, today's context museum, what is the main point of our main orientation? It is using the electrical lighting in such a way, the beauty of the items preserved gets enhanced in many times. And one of the classic examples, or the recent example, but fantastic example, is Bihar Museum, Patna. I will advise all of you to see it. Here also, LD Institute has done it. Number is very low, items to be shown there, but LD has taken that thing. That kind of thing to be done in this kind of structure where this was never thought of, it is not at all suitable. So other uses have to be thought of. You can preserve the building, but this use will not be possible. Same problem is there. La Corbusier did it for Chandigarh. Chandigarh also water drips from the top. And what is the advantage of Chandigarh? Or what is the best thing in Chandigarh? After partition, 40% of Lahore's collection came to Chandigarh. Those have got to be preserved, particularly Mughal paintings. So you have to air condition, but fortunately, that is not a huge area to be air conditioned. A few halls are to be air conditioned. Okay, so today's context, therefore, conservation of urban heritage is creating a problem because this clear clash between the real estate development and the benefit to be taken from that, and maintenance of something which is valuable, which has been handed over by great grandparents to me through 7 generations or 8 generations. I do not know. Now, this is the thing. We have to find an answer to it. Again, I'll come back. Economic things are so very powerful, and political decisions quite often are more or less amenable to the economic pressure. If the final decision is taken for that kind of thing, much before it is destroyed, again, I'll go back to my old point. Have a measured trying and photographs and keep in the archive, which will at least give you the idea of what was the thing like in details. So that becomes one of the very, very important things for the conservation of heritage in the future. Other thing, conservation of heritage, you have to have that kind of feeling that this is my own. It is not just one thing. Oh, this is not third rate something high to high. No, it is your own, that feeling. How do we create that? India has totally forgotten a most precious heritage item for 1,000 years. Can any other one of you tell me what is that thing? What is the structure? Anyone? Any one of you? More than 1,000 years, India forgot is one of the most precious heritage element. Structure. Anybody? Anybody? No. Ajanta. Ajanta. We forgot about Ajanta. Nobody mentioned about Ajanta anywhere. And what was the fact? बाड़िया की institution called East India Company, उनका 2-4 आदमी जाके उधर-उधर घूमते थे. One of them was very keen on shooting a tiger. They said, "Oh, tiger इधर आ रहा है." उधर जाके उधर tiger तो नहीं, जो देखा, he came out and shouted, "Hey, इसके अंदर बहुत सारी चीज है." 1,000, more than 1,000 years, we totally forgot about it. So also Sati, so also Bharhut, so also Sakat. South India में one है, लेकिन all the Buddhist caves which are abounding in entire Vindhya region and Satpura and also Bihar, we have forgotten about them. So this is the thing which has happened. So how do we keep that? It happened because Buddhism went out and we all forgot about Buddha and whatever has been done by the Buddhist kings, etc. And other person who to some extent helped us to find out. One is the Tarnath. Tarnath, you know, Tarnath was one fellow from Tibet. Taranath, Tarnath. His book has given certain details of the architectural and sculptural tradition and pieces in Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, and Tibet. Because the persons who were leading at that time in that area, two persons, Bitpal and Dhima, he has given the details of that. But we forgot it. But for the fact, Rahul Sankrita, he had been to Tibet, he collected books, came out to India, Varanasi, transcribed it. Then once more people came to know about the Buddhist architectural pieces or paintings. Paintings, of course, we didn't discover much in India. Nepal, Tibet, it is still alive. It is a living tradition. Now, how do we keep it alive? Otherwise, all of you will like to see Ajanta. How many of you have seen Ajanta? How many? Not many, but you'll be seeing it. But Ajanta, just imagine, we forgot, and more than one, such a fantastic paintings for more than 1,000 years, Indians forgot. सांची के पत्थर लेके नजदीक पे घर बनते थे. And Humayun took some of the things. Humayun's palace is not very far from, so not Sanchi, sorry. क्या बोलते हैं काशी के नजदीक पे जो है सांची. What is that? Just now I mentioned सांची, भागवत, सारनाथ. सारनाथ के पत्थर लेके हुमायूं ने उसका एक छोटा सा पैलेस बनाया था. And later on also, our Kashi Naresh also was trying to do it. Fortunately, Pinsir, he took a piece of land, built a house, stayed in Kashi. They stopped it. So thereafter, Sarnath was preserved. But lot of things by the time has gone. Lot of things has gone. And enter in Madhya Pradesh. We have got the that pillar, Herodotus' pillar. The man who wrote that book, a Greek, Milinda Panha, Questions of Milind. Milinda Panha, there was Bihar, etc. You can see the remnants even today. But we forgot, therefore nobody took care of it. ठीक है, जाता है जाए और दो चार ईंटा पत्थर लेके कोई घर बनाए तो क्या ना है, घर करने दो ना. This is what has happened. And if you go take a car, make a little bit roundabout way, Punjab, Haryana, idhar udhar you will see plenty of Mughal remnants. Somebody is trying to preserve them, but preservation kitna hoga pata nahi. And chare baju gahu बीच में एक स्ट्रक्चर कितने दिन रहेगा, वो continuously pumping चलता है पानी को. So therefore, this is the thing. Therefore, सबसे बड़ा element against conservation is what? Amnesia. भूल गया. Amnesia, it is not only the technical points, not only this historical points, tourism points, but one point we have to all the time consider: heritage is a part of yourself. It is not, it is, unless you feel it's a home, it's not heritage. And to do that, you have to keep this amnesia away. How to do that? It is easy to do that if there is a meta-narrative with which you can connect it. 3 million people come to have a Prayag Kumbh Snan. What is there? A meta-narrative hai in our Puranas. And that is continuing, even till date. So it is keeping it alive. The Rajputana mein itna story hai. Raja nahi kiya, wo kiya, falana kiya, dhikna kiya. These stories give a meta-narrative connected with which chota palace, chota thing, these are all getting preserved. We in Gujarat have got that kind of thing. Pope's books are there. Meghari is there. So we can connect that kind of thing, this structure here and that structure there. And perhaps we can keep this alive. But many things have been removed. In 1968, when I came in, I found a building there, a beautiful building. I shouted, "Hey, it's a Purana structure hua." I won't name. An officer was with me. He said, "Kaise tumko pata?" I said, "Lagta hai sab." He said, "Stop the car." He went there. Okay. And kuch nahi, chalo. Next day, while coming back on the same route, he told his driver, "Go there. I'm waiting here." A few pieces was taken in his car. He's taken to his house. I will not name it. It's my personal experience. Now, this is the way it is going. So that building is no longer there. It is very near to Jaipur. Nobody will remember that there was a temple, remains of a temple, very near to Jaipur. So this has happened all over India. And some of them later on have given to the museum. Many of them have sold it to the various foreign countries. So this is the matter. Same thing must have happened in Pakistan also. So this is the thing I would request you. Yes, all the technically evolved newer methods to be used for detecting the weakness of the heritage structures, strengthening them, making them resilient to the various onslaughts of natural disasters. But same thing also with the heritage structures, which is not exactly a government. Thirdly, have a massive effort to do the measure drawing, photograph, and archiving them and making it available on payment to the students and researchers. But finally, please don't allow that amnesia to set in. Keep them alive. Keep them, whatever meta-narratives are there for their supporting them, keep them alive. Keep them in your own language, English language, Hindi, whatever it may be. But everywhere, first thing should be in the local language. And Meghani has done so much of work here. If you read Meghani, many things we will associate. Saurashtra. You remember the Meghani story of a fight between Muli Raja and powerful king of Kutch. Muli Raja was hardly 17 years old. Now, one girl, Muslim girl, Maharao from Kutch wanted to have that girl. Her father couldn't stand an old gentleman, Maharao, and he escaped with that girl. Raja Maharao sent the people behind them. He asked for shelter everywhere. Nobody in Saurashtra gave him any shelter. Muli Raja was 17 years old, young boy, 17, 18 years old. His mother was taking bath in the Sarovar with some ladies. She heard the story. She said, "If my son hears it, he will do something." And he did something that came out. So no, I'll give you shelter. Kutch Maharao's people came and attacked. And ultimately the young boy died. And this girl's father also died. Near Surasdev, the fight took place. Surasdev, you know, Surendranagar. Thangad came also. And Meghani's description, I don't know whether you remember it. They were removing the corpse. One stream of blood from the body of the father of that girl, and one stream of blood from the body of the young king who died. They came in the dust, and in one point they are meeting together. It's a fantastic story. Now, this story told and retold will keep that meta narrative alive. And if there is any point where they say that this is the mark of, let's say, that will be preserved. So this is what, again, also one of the times. I want to talk a lot, but I don't want to spoil your time. Whatever I have to say, main points I have told you. Thank you very, very much. And thanks to Anjuna Pachika. Any question if you want to?
Question answer session after the session.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for this insightful session, telling us the real stories and real experiences of your professional tenure. Now, I would like to welcome Professor Anjana Vyas. Uh, Currently, Dr. Anjana Vyas is the professor in School of Planning, LG University, Ahmedabad. She is an urban planner and PhD in economics, studied geospatial technology at IIRS, Dehradun. She is certified, trained the trainers from University of Birmingham, UK. Her specialization is geospatial technology, urban planning, infrastructure, and environmental planning. She holds more than 42 years of experience in teaching and research. Dr. Vyas is a pioneer to start the Masters in Geomatics at CEPT University, first institute to introduce this in entire state of Gujarat. She has also won several awards, national and international. Recently, she is awarded Fellow of Indian Society of Remote Sensing as well as Indian Society of Geomatics, ISPRS, Inter-Commission on Spatial Information Science Education Working Group Chair, National Geospatial Application Award, and few more. I welcome Professor Anjana Vyas for our expert session.
Thank you, Kruti, for elaborated introduction. But I feel very small when Sri Gosab has given the narration across the India, the cultural heritage, he gave an insight how to preserve it, why it is not getting preserved, what are the causes, and he also told us that you go and see those places which are really very important in nature, and you will really enjoy watching to those things. Very nice discussion we had, and we feel that entire day we keep listening to him. Time is always with us to stop us or to guide us. And then the time has come for me to talk to you something. I'll try to talk to you about, again, the root cause of disaster, types of disaster, but how the technology helps, like the groups of Sahana or maybe other groups which are there, which is called humanitarian team leads and all, can help in certain kind of disasters where the different natures of the disaster causes to the human, the society, the economy, the culture, as well as the environment. I'll start with that, and I just say that what is this? And this is what is urbanization. Gosab has just told us about the real estate, but what is real estate is housing for all of us to live and all of us to work. And that is also needed, but how we can see that as either the strength or as a challenge for us to preserve. Today's talk is on the cultural heritage. And you see that majority of the cities of India, Gujarat, are also featuring into the urbanization, scale of urbanization, and so on and so forth. When urbanization is coming, we all know many things, that it is a challenge, it is a problem, it is a kind of limitations of moving and developing and mobility. Not many things are infrastructure and all. It has been also viewed by international organizations, and also from the point of view that where there is disaster occur, where there is a damage occurs, and what is happening to that. And in 1994, United Nations has organized one conference that was on disaster risk reduction. The aim was to bring people together though are all government officer, non-government officer, specialist and all, to discuss about the preparation, the response, mitigation measures to face the growing incidence of different typology of disaster, especially the natural disaster too. Since then, there were two conferences occurred. One is in 2005. For 15 years, they have adopted as a Yogo framework, and 2015 to 30, it was on a Sendai framework. And Sendai framework is still continue and people talk about it. That was in Sendai in Japan. So both conferences has occurred in Japan, but there were 4 pillars of that. What are those 4? Are understanding of disaster risk is one. Second is strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster. The third one is investing in disaster risk reduction for resilience. And the fourth one is enhancing the disaster preparedness for the effective responses for build back the better. So you can rebuild and make it much better in the form of recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. When we talk about the understanding the disaster risk, then there are different dimensions of those, which are vulnerability, capacity, exposure of persons and asset, hazard characteristics, also the environment. When we talk about the strengthening disaster risk governance to manage, we talk about the clear vision, the plans, the competence, the guidance and coordination within and across the sectors of risk governance, as well as the participation of relevant stakeholder. There are multiple stakeholders. There are people, citizen, government, policymaker, the affected people, the kind of owners of those, and many more. Okay, we can list aloud. Then there is a public-private partnership for funding, because certain things require the sustainability, and those fundings are also happens to be, or who has to be, the cost-effective mechanism to enhance again the all aspect of socio-economic, cultural, as well as the health aspect of resilience of the person, community, countries, and their assets and environment. The fourth one is more for the empowerment of the women and disabled people, and that has to be strengthened much more, and hence we can talk about the build back better. So we can look into that. Typology of disaster, we are talking about it, you know about it, is more on the serious disruption, maybe human losses, property losses, environmental losses, the list can go on. And there are various types of flood which causes this thing, is various types of disaster which causes is the flood, drought, cyclone, landslide, coastal erosion, tsunami, and all of those things, which probably you also have heard about it. The measures are the preventive measures, how it can be done to create an awareness of that. And then how to create an awareness is to start with the training programs. Okay. So there are 3 different aspects of that. One is pre-disaster, during the disaster, and post-disaster. Pre-disaster, what is required is to plan, to have an information, to understand those things, to communicate with each other, the leadership coordination, who will do what, where, how, etc. can be talked about it, and then how to do the mitigation plan, schedule, and other aspect of that. During the disaster, it's very difficult, unreachable, and not possible. Still, what is needed is a rescue, right? We need to rescue, we need to search, we have to evacuate them from the place to the shelter. We have to identify which shelters they can be put up, or maybe the livestock, and for their relief. So it is all bovine population and other population. Yeah, clearing of debris. You might be aware about the recent earthquake has happened in Ahmedabad city. Okay, and then many buildings have collapsed, and you have identified the people were under the debris and few days, and they will be bringing it out and all. And then maybe you need to get the fire. If it is fire, then you need to control the fire. Damage assessment needs to be done. How many, where, what? Because during the time of disaster, even the national and international agencies come forward to help you to identify how much is the damage occurred, what damages occurred, and what kind of assets, fund, infrastructure requirements, so that that can flow from the different sources to that. And then of course the health and casualty management and all of those things are also equally important. But post disaster is another thing which is to be looked into, is the rehabilitation, housing to resist, and retrofitting. So these are very important things where we can talk about the kind of scenarios of that, and I'm not getting into the detail of those, we all know about it. So what to keep in mind? And this is what is very important, that we can create a culture of safety among community. You may be knowing that in schools they are teaching that if something happens, you can go below the desk or whatever, you have to stand like here and not in the center of the room, and those kind of drills are being taken care of. Is all what is we talk about is the creation of the kind of culture, understanding the knowledge, okay, that can be a systematic management of each type of disaster, which may be man-made, natural, or technological disaster as well. And how to protect the community from the early warning system, effective communication system. We require the programs for preparedness, evacuation, as well as the rescue. Why this slide? And this slide is where we are. Urbanization, we talk about the growing population, but what is important is also this: growing population is not done. Growing population is reaching to the technology. At the grassroots level, the technology is being utilized. That means adaptation by the modern era is happening much more. And if we say this, that means communication becomes very easy, and we can just try to make that happen. So what are the type of technology if we talk about it? One is the mobile technology, which is a communication technology, but technologically where India is also advanced is remote sensing. We are almost first 4 in the world to be in to send the satellites in the orbit and getting the information and doing a lot of technological work in remote sensing, where we are also able to do the land use mapping, damage assessment, drought monitoring, a warning system, forecasting, prediction, and whatnot and whatnot. Geographical information system is the system which uses the satellite data, which is a real-time data, which is available at the point of time of when the satellite is orbiting. And then global positioning system, probably you are using on your mobile the GPS, and then you know where you are, or you can trace somebody. And likewise, even you are getting into Uber or Ola, you know that how it is passes through is also latitude and longitude, and then it works with that. We have warning and forecasting system, very well established, even in the shore area, where the fishermen are into the ocean, and then when they have to come back because of the high tides or certain things are happening, it's a national level, ministries are functioning on that, as well as a local level, panchayat level and gram level as well. Internet is another one. Immediately, you know, swine flu has happened. We never knew that it was so dangerous, but when this has happened, COVID, and we all are scared about it, or we all are prepared about it, and that is what is the internet facility, and that's what is the one. And that's these are the communication facilities, and you see those are the pictures which are there, which is giving you the larger area. That means the wide scope you can identify and find the points out of that to the smaller area, and you can identify even the stadium, what is being constructed in which manner and what manner and all. And this is what is our history and our progress of our nation. And you know that using the satellite imagery in 2016, when the Tamil Nadu cyclone has happened, at that time almost 10,000 lives were saved, and many thing has happened. You know, the graph showing there is also talking to you about how many human casualties occurred over a period of time. So temporally, we also can able to identify that how these disasters are really affecting human life, environment, socio-economic conditions of the nation. And then we talk about the GIS, where we talk that geographical information, which does the projection modeling and all. And what it does is predictive modeling. It can do simulation modeling. It can do the decision making, or even the optimization of those aspects of that. Every day what tools we are using is another thing. That okay, we use telephone now. Probably many houses may not have telephone, but that is one-to-one connection. Okay, I call somebody on my landline and I talk to one person onto that. Radio is another thing, which is a wider spectrum of the people are able to reach to that. TV channel adds to radio is an audio-visual media. Mobile phone network, you have WhatsApp now. Mobile is not now only remain as telephone one-to-one, but it is like you have a WhatsApp group or larger group, and you can just put up across that and all. And one more thing is the police communication system, which is not falling in our mobile technology, but it has a different signal wavelength, and that those are all the things are there. So what are the actions and activities we need to do during the disaster? And we have to save, like Gosab has told about the buildings, the monuments, the cultural heritage sites, and they are having cracks, they are tilted, they are getting broken down, and all of those things. So what kind of things we need to that? So I'm following his session and trying to talk about is the hazard mapping and risk management. It's very, very important that what type of things are there. Information and data collection. Sir also has talked about information. Where is that information? What information? How we have to gather, where it should be stored, where it should be used, utilized, who can utilize that, are all the following questions to that. Then you need to that, if you got those things, then you do the research and analysis out of that. Website, which I will talk to you about, Sahana and humanitarian response team, which are happening and which is fantastic work they are doing it. Yes, we need to do long-term action plan. We have to do specific risk reduction thing, because there are many risk reductions are there. You know, disaster. Today we are talking about cultural heritage, but there are many more things. So we can identify the specific thematic stuff and then try to look into the plan of those. Then we can also do the master plan, where land use helps us in looking into the spectrum and all. Again, I quote Gosab that he talked about where is Jama Masjid, and have you ever know that where the Jama Masjid is, sir? And then I could I tell you, sir, that one day I was using satellite imagery. Okay, it was that era. It was just a hard copy data, hard picture image, and then I was seeing that in the mid of the city, how there is a white background, that means open land. Everything is all across the building, and now this is something I was not able to actually at that time found out that what it is. So I walked with the satellite imagery and this is Jama Masjid. So inside this is whole open space for the people to namaz and all those things. And so those kind of things are really important, that is an information. Now you don't know the information, if you either you can't go or access to that, or you can find out through the technology of remote sensing or something like that, and then the centers can be established and other thing. So how that can be helpful also to the young generation and to the people, like NIDM is every time conducting this training program to make awareness, okay, to the young generation, to the professionals and all of those things. And we are right now doing conducting this training program along with them. And that is where we talk about informal education. Here, whatever we are talking about is sensitizing informal education through different medias. Here we have online and offline, distance learning programs are, standard programs are also available, etc., etc. And we have a lot of things are there. Formal education is also there in many places. You also become the masters with this heritage or tourism, and those specializations are enormous these days, and we can try to get degree, diploma, certificate programs and whatnot. but how people are also sensitized to study of the site. Like I'm an engineer, so I do my master's in engineering, do my PhD in engineering, or I'm an architect or planner, and likewise. But we don't go out of that. I'm a graduate with economics or geography or science or engineer. I'm not able to, or I'm not knowing that I should be doing something on the heritage side, because engineer and architects main job is also that. Interest also should be there, but there is no awareness about it. And for that purposes, and to catch the people, we need to have certain motivational factors also we need to be implemented, and that is what we can have frequent competitions, quiz, or maybe seminars, debates. So that is just the circulation of the messages or information to go on to that. Regular TV program, like when earthquake occurred, I think Gujarat Television has a series of program for the engineers and citizens, that two citizens don't get scared, and two engineers that you can retrofit the buildings in this fashion and that fashion, and that made many people out of scare. They were very scared to stay in the home, and they started getting inside the home just because of this kind of television and radio announcements and all. Social media, young generation is using a lot onto that. And somewhere in the schools and colleges, we can have a popular lecture. There are a number of motivational things we can do it on that. But what media does basically is it brings awareness among the larger community, because people are fond of media, whichever is the media, start with the newspaper to whatever we can talk about it, simulate more participation activity, because we need to really do the stimulation exercise for getting into that. More information should be distributed across DRR, that is disaster risk reduction, and communicate it more effectively. Sir has again told that language. If I'm Gujarati, I would like to read very easily in Gujarati, and somebody from other state, Andhra, Telugu, and all. But then if it is in English, I will give second priority, that I'll read it later. Okay, so some that kind of affection and things should also be looked into with respect to the effectiveness of the communication systems. And all this media, you search like cultural heritage, just click on Google or Bing, and you can get so much of information. You can use those information for making posters, making wall painting, making all of those things, and then it also gets the circulating a larger awareness about the kind of thing. Then what are the target group activities when we talk about is that, then today target group is cultural heritage, and then we can get together and try to understand with the same interest, same aim, same objective, and same kind of the reaching to the conclusion sort of a thing. Then we can talk about even the community entry and integration. What is the footfall? I mean, how many people are there? And that is what is most important, because sometimes volume works, okay? And that's why we talk about the number of visitors behavior. Why number is also because not everyone is same. Everyone has a different behavior. And then looking to the behavior of that, we can just work upon the kind of thing. We have done one project on mobile data. Obviously, we were not available, we were not getting data from India, but it is Venezuela city. We have taken the data because they were able to give us the mobile data, and we featured out those data for 5 days, and we found out that how the people's moving behavior, because it is a tourist city, and then tourist city, how people are behaving, in which time where more number of people are there, which time where number of people are there, and we try to look with the land use, we try to look with the kind of monuments, that which monuments are becoming more popular or more number of people are being there and all. So you can talk about the behavior with using the technology aspect of that. And then you can have the capacity building, the rehabilitation plan, post during or post disaster, etc. And then you can have a monitoring and evaluation where we require time series data. You cannot just get with the one data and then things over, because pattern generation is happening only when we know the behavior, and behavior is not one time. Okay, but behavior is a pattern, is a style. It comes not one time, but it is with a time series information, and then only we can identify the kind of trend or the pattern out of that. Then we talk about the consideration of the awareness program. We emphasize on the importance of the participation. We are here in the room, okay, but how much we are participating? Verbally, physically, mentally, listening to that, reacting to that, that is more important. It's not just the volume, what I said in the last slide, that volume is important just to know the behavior, different type of behavior, but volume is also essential where your participation is that the active participation, passive participation makes important into here. Okay, then get into the discussion about the important step, and you talk about the assign the strength to the keep positive mindset, because that is always there. No? I mean, how does it affect to me? If some pillar is just collapsed, how does it affect to me? I'm staying in this area or somewhere, then I have no problem about it. And then those kind of things are also affecting to us. Thank you, please. Then emphasize on the target group. We can talk about the best practices, because that is what is happening these days, that we can compile and put it up as a best practices, which can circulate to many places and all. Even in our education systems, when we talk about the studio-based learning or performance-based learning, project-based learning, we talk about this aspect of the narration of the best practices and all. And then frequent communication meetings, so that we don't forget about certain things of that. The two things what I was talking about, one is humanitarian, another one is Sahana. So this is the humanitarian response team, and this is what is United Nations has it, and then it is NIDMA works with that. It is a crisis management group. It is voluntary group where you and me can also become the member of that. And any small incident to the large incident happens, if we can click on our mobile and put it to the humanitarian response team, it just goes there. So it works extremely nice and well in terms of the large disaster, where you can bring in the resources from wherever, okay, and those kind of things where is taken care of. It is a civil agency, it is a relief agency, it is a police, it is a hospital, it is a education systems and data management system, and many things are there. It is voluntary. Everywhere it is in the cloud. Okay, so who is there is not the name. Anjana is not the name there. It is cloud. What I am performing there or what I am putting there is one of the information. Okay, and it is considered that whatever information is put is a bias information, correct information, locational information. So certain things are a rule of action and activity is to be maintained, but then you can get into all those things, and then even you can get back the feedback. So several of those disasters has occurred in past also. This particular humanitarian, it's a portal also, and then it has happened and it can be worked. And a couple of students has in past has done even dissertation onto that, and they have brought out that how those things can be done using some Python script and some coding and all, but then how you can place that to put those information, and those are again back to the humanitarian group. So those whatever they have developed is also available for global level of utilization and all. Okay, so in this, like just a narration of that in 2010, 2 lakh people actually killed under this earthquake, and humanitarian response has done so many things. I will not read all of those things, but these all has happened because of this particular group was functional and working on that. And then the main priorities of this one is emergency shelter, site management, as well as the infrastructure like sanitation, etc., which is also important. So the problems for all of those things are also challenging with respect to the complexity of these disasters are increasing. Even disasters are increasing if we try to see the global map, and we see the locations of disaster across the years, and we can find out they are increasing in number. Then there's the there are different NGOs which are working, but then concern about the quality and the kind of accountability of those is becoming in between. There was a question much read about in the media, etc., but not sure about what's all of those things. Coordination between the all agencies, like all stakeholder agencies which are functioning or managing to this one, is also an important thing. We have little bit lesser in terms of the planning and mitigation. Questions are being asked by technologists in the different seminars and conferences. It's all about that we are now in the one epidemic is getting over, how best we are prepared if tomorrow something else comes up. Okay, so something else is maybe the human life or anything is at stake, and how are we prepared? So what are our readiness for the recovery is again a kind of very important thing. Okay, so what is required is more basically is a real-time data acquisition, communication, management of effective response is more actually recognized. Recently that not recently, but this Uttarakhand landslide and huge flood was there. ISRO has requested several academic institutions falling nearby those regions. They just online, they train them how to use GPS. They have given GPS to them, and whichever person, student, were walking and seeing something that some cow is dead, or some human are stuck, or this or that, they just have to click that photo and send it. And ISRO team was with the other systems, police and rescue systems and all, and they have rescued quite a lot of people, and more than 1,500 students were working for this type of thing. And that is a routine stuff. It's not necessarily they have to go for research and all, but then they have done quite a bit of things. It is a very important thing. So importance are anyway, based understanding and preparedness are required, effective recovery efforts are required. Now, these are many things when we can talk about that, how humanitarian group is functioning on that, and what are this interesting area. And that's how I brought it. Otherwise, if you can read it, you know that these are actually required. We don't have to have that sequential with us, but in our mind we have, and that's what we can talk about it. I can give you a few slides about the map and database and importance of those. Now, if you can see that this is a map of a city, okay? And then you find all those on this side, the legions are there, which is schools and hospitals and police stations and fire brigade, and those kind of facilities are put up onto that. You know what is which city it is, Ahmedabad city. This is a long time before, so the city was at that time only 85 or 95 square kilometer. Okay, today it is not that. So, but then you can just check upon that these are all the roads, and those facilities are located onto that. Data has to be managed because facility itself is just a dot. Okay, or you can have a picture, like you can have a hospital, then you have a standard image and you can put it, and then logo you can put, and you can get it. Not that. But what is important is that which location, the dot or a logo, whichever you are putting up, is what. If it is hospital, then general hospital, specialized hospital, is police chowki, it is a fire brigade, and so on and so forth. So you have to get into the database, and that is what is I'm talking. We also have certain database and who is responsible for what, and they are all available in document of municipal corporations or somewhere with the name and with the phone number and email ID and whatnot. And then we can try and put it across, okay? And then we try to see that how we can collect all of those things. Okay, so these are the data. Now, data are required in both ways. One is a spatial, which is a map. Second one is the attribute data. So that dot is a school, or that dot is LJ University. Okay, so likewise, and then you have not LJ University, but you can say how many students, how many faculty, what facility. So you have all the column in a database, and then you can try to link to that as and when required. So everything is, we call it the attribute data, but that is a dot which is on the space in our map on a location. So that is what is there. What requires is a software. Softwares are all proprietary software, open source software, and you have many other facilities which you can use it, etc. And then hardware, obviously, you can use your computer or maybe the cloud or whatever is there at the one. Okay, now bring that data onto even Google, because you are all convenient to use this information onto the Google, and then you are trying to get to that or see to that, and this is all the information. Of course, you need to do a lot onto that, but you now see that the databases are there on Google, and then we can try to see, yeah, you need to do certain exercise for doing that also. Now, if you can say that there is some incident occurred somewhere, okay, now that incident, you can identify what is the perimeter of that, maybe 500 meter to kilometer, and then you can get the radius of that. Okay, and then what you need is that if something has happened, something has broken down or happened, now you can bring in, so you have a origin and destination, where it was happened and how where to be taken up, or where the fire brigade is there to reach to that. I give you one more example into that same direction, is that for example, there is one location is a disaster which is occurred. Another locations, as you know, that we have mapped school, hospital, fire brigade, and all other facilities. So if one location is a disaster location, another location where you have to bring them here. Okay, so now you know that you have an event site. Okay, and then you have this. So even in Sahana also we do this humanitarian also we do like that. And we click that because GPS, okay, mobile, and then you can try. I'm showing you on the map side. Okay, now you know that if you can read it properly, you know that start from here, go 25 meter, take left turn, go 150 meter, take right turn. All of those things as a databases are coming to you. And now you know that having this thing, how much time you will take to evacuate, rescue the people, or likewise. Now you know that if you have the fire brigade, and these are all the locations, what you see beneath that blue lines, they are the location of the fire brigade stations, and all the colors are telling within 3 minutes, within 5 minutes, within 9 minutes, from any direction fire brigade can go, a single direction, wherever, but that is the circumference within that. Now more than 15 minutes if it takes, then many damages and nothing may even remain. So what I have shown is that those polygons, I mean badly made polygon, they are the areas which are not having the fire brigade facility. So decision has to be taken by the government that whether we need the fire brigade station there or not. What are the land uses, whether there are vulnerable land uses are there or not, effect will be what, impact will be what, etc., etc. And then they can take a decision onto that. After humanitarian, I can also tell you Sahana is another global portal where we talk about the disaster through web tool. Okay, and it was also developed in 2004 because we saw that after 1998 and onwards, several disasters were occurring over the globe and across the globe, and so that was this thing. Again, it was a collaborative open project, so anybody can also become party to that. And then the web portal was used, ontology concept was there, language was there, everything was there, and you can see some of those slides which you are visualizing that what has happened in tsunami and post tsunami type of thing. And so it has happened in India, but then we also want some people sitting in Canada or US or Australia or somewhere to know about it and to give rescue or maybe support, and all of those things can be possible. So these are the ways the information is being put up. So that location is very important. Otherwise, India or Ahmedabad. Now somebody who is never know about India physically or on a map, we will not able to understand where this Ahmedabad and all. And then the facilities and these things, you can able to browse, you can able to see, you can able to reachability time and other things can happen. Small example is that you have the city and now you have a flood prone area, and you can identify those flood prone area because you know that what is the water carrying capacity of your stormwater drain versus what is the runoff. And then you identify these are the areas are going to be potential for the urban flood, and you can identify whether any monuments are there, how old they are, whether they are retrofitted there or not. what is to be done. So you can prepare the plan. Pre-monsoon, I told you, pre-disaster, post-disaster. So it is even that pre-disaster, you don't know that disaster is going to occur and where it should occur. So where is the question can be answered with such kind of technology, and we can try to figure out that. And you know that all darker red color are the more flood affected area, and greens are the one not. And then you have put up these locations of the hospitals or school buildings or something, so that you evacuate the slum people or the affected people to some location, so shelter or maybe hospital, whichever way can be taken a decision, and then you can identify and work it. Now this is a simulation. I think I forgot to copy the video, so it won't, but then it will tell you that which are the areas. So as even here, that if you can increase the rainfall intensity, you will know that how many areas are getting inundated, and so you can try to figure out that which are the land uses, because land use we have a map. I mean, we need to know that these are all the information we have or we have made available, and the location of the sensitive location. So which are those sensitive location, and we know that culturally heritage type of location, and Ahmedabad is full of those things, or any other city may have those kind of things. So maybe this is the last slide where I can talk to you about that. What are the benefits of all those things? What we try to see that how the disaster can be either mitigated or maybe response or anything preparedness, we can do it. So here we can talk about that even the benefit of the capability to distribute information and GIS data and functionality to a wide audience. It just goes because of those two portals. We can also create another portal, and we do have several portals if you can look through that onto that. When user do not have to purchase the software now. These are the very important thing, that something is in cloud, you can just use it and you can publish it. It is your own ownership, but still you don't have to pay money for that. It doesn't require extensive training also, just half a day you will be able to learn how to do and what to do about it. User easily can communicate with information, maps and data, which is visually, so one can able to know about it, can be displayed evidence purpose with the time and date. But somewhere we talk about the WebGIS, little bit of drawbacks are there, that response time can be extensive depending upon the number of factors, such as exogenous factors, such as use of connection capability, data volume. If you use data, then it takes time to transfer from one place to the other place. It is a network traffic, what I'm talking about, and the processor power. But if at a national level or global level, these limitations does not sustain, because it just gets elaborated. Because as we said, that private-public partnership, government and private institutions do pay money, and it becomes very, very cost effective, very maintenance, sustainability. So nobody is owner, but still it is a sustainable model. And these are the very appreciative model, which is functioning in the time of disaster. And they save both our lives and environment. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the knowledge of how to use the geospatial technology in our Indian context. And now I would like to have questions from students and participants, online and offline. Online participants, I request to please address the speaker to whom you are asking.
The mailbox if there are some questions.
Yes,
No.
we have a question from one of the students.
Can you come here? My question is to
Actually, my question is to sir, what to do about the existing crowd around the city area? तो मॉन्यूमेंट्स के आसपास जो क्राउड होता है उसका क्या करना है, मतलब वो अच्छा आइडिया नहीं है कि हम उसको हटा के वहां पे काम करें। अगर उसको हटाएंगे तो जो मॉन्यूमेंट का जो आसपास का जो एनवायरनमेंट है वो बिगड़ जाएगा।
As I told you, in Ahmedabad city, the heritage structures are all surrounded by a motley cloud of construction of 300 to 400 years. One or two might be more than that, but most of them are 100 years, 150 years. Now, we have got no plan of removing nothing of the sort. But selectively, even persuading them to leave that place also will be attempted and it is necessary. I'll show you only one instance. That is, all of you have seen Rani Sipari Mosque. Have you seen that arch which is by its side and half broken arch is still there hanging? There are some individual houses there. If that area is still nothing wrong, and that will neither affect them, they can be given accommodation elsewhere, money, but it will be showing the full grandeur of the old thing. Half of the third portico is demolished since long back. So that will not be, we are not going to reconstruct it, but whatever is still hanging like this, that should be preserved. So we are not thinking ever in terms of removing anybody, except in these cases which is suitable for both. But one thing has got to be done. Their development, their repairs, etc., should not be done in such a fashion as to create or as to totally destroy the ambience of that particular structure. And that ASI is attempted by creating a feature, a National Monument Authority, that within 100 meters what can be done, with 300 meters what can be done. That will be followed. That is not trying to dislodge anybody else. Okay? Are you satisfied? If you are not satisfied, you tell me.
Actually, my question was that for example, जामी मस्जिद को लेते हैं, तो जामी मस्जिद के आसपास पूरा जो क्लस्टर है उसके आसपास बहुत सारे घर हैं। अगर मुझे जामी मस्जिद को स्ट्रेंथनिंग करना है, उसको उस फाउंडेशन से स्ट्रेंथनिंग से चालू करना पड़ेगा। उस पे काम करने के लिए I need a space.
In that case, no escape from the fact that we have to persuade these people to go somewhere else and we have to arrange for accommodation of them. Now, what is it? How did they come? Originally, the compound of the Jama Masjid was put under a few Malis and other persons to look after it. And those families have increased, and now a huge locality has been created inside the Jama. And it is getting created in the Bibina Magwa. It is getting created. So those people have to be accommodated somewhere. We have to do it. And that horrible thing is the Sardar Khan ki Samadhi opposite Jamalpur Pagatli. Multi-story buildings have come up there. Now we have to take it. It is very delicate because two different communities are involved. Any action in this respect will be can immediately start doing something very wrong, I say. Quietly, maybe it will take 50 years, but it can be done. But one has to have the courage in the beginning. I remember this the Campbell of Samadhi. As early as 1978, it's me as a small fry. I requested the director of ASI, then Mr. N.B. Banerjee, to come and see. He did come. He saw it. Mr. Kapil. He told me openly, I cannot do anything. In the local level, if you people can do anything, you do. So there is always a knocking fear of communal trust. That's why this has got to be handled in a very delicate fashion, but it can be done in a slow process.
One more thing, that the kind of evacuation what you are talking about is not only the resettling of certain things, okay? And it is either considered to be temporary or permanent. Unless you give the resettled community, either shops or the families, a another space, then only this will remain as open space. Otherwise, as soon as you complete your work, this will be once again encroached, and that encroachment will be more ugly than the one what was already currently available, right? So planning aspects are always to be needed to be looked into as a very important thing. Any other question?
Okay, I think we don't have any other questions. So before we conclude, we have Professor Santosh Kumar, Head of GIDRR Division, NIDM, Government of India. Shri Professor Santosh Kumar Sir, Head GIDRR, National Institute of Disaster Management, being a disaster risk reduction, policy planning and capacity development expert. He has more than 35 years of experience in different positions in development planning and DRR sector. He is PhD in economics and has studied gender and development in IDS from UK and received professional training in disaster risk management from Israel, backed with international work exposure at the World Bank and intergovernmental body SAC. I would invite him and please request him to speak few words.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry because since I'm traveling, so should I open my video? Otherwise, it will not work properly. So I would say I will just try to adjust with that. Madam, go phone. Hello. So I'm really grateful for this kind of this program with the joint collaboration with the university and NIDM. And I'm grateful to the Vice Chancellor and the coordinator for actually encouraging and supporting this kind of a collaborative attempt for the better cause of cultural heritage and protection of its protection. The biggest challenge which we face, and I'm sure that must have been discussed for last 3 days, as is that heritage is older, it's great, keeps growing, and then the vulnerability also multiplies on the other hand. So older the structure, higher the vulnerabilities. In such kind of a circumstances, how we are going to protect our heritage? All the sites are very fragile. I remember when we had this earthquake in 2001 in Gujarat, and we went there, and many of the districts of Gujarat, which has the heritage, especially Morbi and other places, is a great devastation. So it was a really challenge that how to go for, and the students, those who were asking questions, that how to go about. So experts must have deliberated upon that, but the idea is to preserve our cultural heritage, the language, the buildings, the ruins, everything. This always teaches us to move ahead in terms of preserving our own culture and learning from that. So I will not take much time. I know that people are at this juncture ready to go. And I would just extend my heartfelt thanks to the Vice Chancellor and also the coordinator and the universities for this collaboration. And I would urge that we can have a much larger ambit of collaboration, just not 1 or 2 webinars, but definitely we can have a coordination for some other areas also, say research, the heritage research related issues that no better than your university can do. So how that partnership can be built for promoting research on protecting our heritage. So NIDM would be very much happy to coordinate with and also have a kind of a greater engagements in various activities which NIDM, which comes under the purview of NIDM, and also which comes under the purview of the universities. So this is one, and the second is that whatever the deliberations which has happened today and 2 days ago, the key findings and the key recommendations should be shared with all of us, so that we can also take out many things from there for drafting our future plan. So these are the things which need to be noted and maybe taken up further. If Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University agrees on that and take this collaboration further ahead. So I would stop here, and on behalf of Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, on behalf of NIDM and the Executive Director, Mr. Taj Hassan, and my own personal behalf and my team, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the this management of the university and also the distinguished participants and the resource person who have shared their views and opinions on protection of the heritage. So thank you very much, and special thanks to Mr. Vivek and Mr. Ali for having coordinated it from our side. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm cutting it short because I also am rushing to the airport I have to catch my flight. So I'm not able to be with you for long. And sorry that I'm not able. Let me try if I can see that video works, then it's fine. Otherwise, we can go ahead without video. Ali, is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for taking out the time from your busy schedule. I know you are traveling since morning. So thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me see if I can open the video.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, friends, and to all of you, all the management, special vice, my thanks to the vice chancellor and the coordinator. Thank you very much once again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Professor Dinesh Awasthi, Vice Chancellor of LJK University, to bring some light on the session.
Shri P.K. Ghosh, IAS retired, who has been our resource person today. My colleagues, Himanshu Bhai, Himanshu Thakkar, the Director of Architecture, Planning and Design School, Professor Anjana Vyas, Coordinator of this program, Cultural Heritage, Disaster Risk Reduction, Professor Santosh Kumar, who was just right there, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm quite excited to be here and listening what Professor Vyas was talking about, and then Professor Santosh Kumar was talking about. At the outset, let me say that we are absolutely open as far as collaboration with the ministry is concerned. We are very keen to have research-led partnership, and wherever you guys think that the university could chip in even action, we will be very happy to have action research projects too. The immediate concern which I could share is that, and during my inaugural speech, I was talking about that place. There is a place nearby Polo Forest. And in Polo Forest has very rich 14th century temples. And they are in such a shamble that it really pains you to see how heritage is being treated in this country and what ASI is doing. Every time I go there and I'm reminded of Angkor Wat. You have 400 square kilometers area. but it's being maintained. Of course, they are also in dilapidated condition, but they are maintained. And typical commonality between these two is that those who have gone to Angkor Wat, you see that trunks of the trees, they are holding the walls. Like serpentines, the huge root of a tree, and then just spiraling the wall and is standing there. Similarly, one temple in Antarsuba, if you go there, Antarsuba, the same thing is happening, but unfortunately that building has crumbled down. And you have a lot of stones littered all around. I think there's the first thing, if Professor Anjana Vyas thinks fit to work on that in collaboration with ASI, in collaboration with National Disaster Management Institute, I think that could be a good beginning. Besides this, also, we are extremely open for any research collaboration, because we are, as a university, in the business of generating knowledge and assimilating knowledge and spreading knowledge. So till this agenda is satisfied, we will be very happy to be part and parcel of NDMI and collaborate with all of them as far as research and action research is concerned. Let me also congratulate all the participants for their 3 days of very intensive learning. Half day, each 2 hours per day. It may sound very small, but the intensity matters. You have 10 days and very light kind of inputs that may not matter, but the kind of intensity in the focus you have within that short span, I think learning goes much beyond, because then you are concentrated. And I'm looking at the list of resource persons, is very, very impressive, and I'm sure it should have been a great learning for all of you. I wish I had some data on feedback, that how things have gone. What do you think? What do you think you have learned, not learned? What would you like us to do beyond what you have done? What kind of issues remain unresolved? So if we had that kind of feedback, and ma'am, if in the next program, if we could have feedback of at least 5 out of the 6 sessions, because last you can't have feedback and analysis and everything, but at least 4 sessions feedback. 2 sessions we could leave and we could collect it later on. You will have some idea where things have gone wrong, where things have gone right, what else we need to do. Do we need to restructure our training program? So all for those restructuring kind of thing, I think it is important that we have feedback of the participants. They are our customers in a sense, and they give you the idea how we should have gone. I'm sure program has gone very well. I'm sure inputs from people like Shri Ghosh, which is a very respected name in the field. He was the one who was part of this committee which formulated this policy for the state of Gujarat. I don't know how long it went and all that, but I know that there was a team with him and people from Rajkot, and those 3 persons team was there. So when we have this kind of persons as experts or as those who are giving inputs, I'm sure the program would have gone very well. But nevertheless, next time if we could have some kind of feedback, that will add value to the whole effort which we are doing. And we will also be able to communicate to the ministry and that institute that, well, we conducted this program, so your syllabus, and this is what the feedback is. So maybe better like next time. Congratulations to all of you again, and my sincere thanks to all the speakers, all the persons who spared their time and helped us learn the process. So their wisdom, their experience which they shared with the participants was very valuable, and I'm sure all of you would have gained a lot. I wish such programs to be repeated again and again, because this is a very critical area. A lot of things are going from worst to worst. Even in Ahmedabad, you see one monument and hundreds of lari gallas and whatnot. You have hold of the kind of pressure, footfall pressure itself is so huge that I think it will be very difficult for this cultural heritage monuments to sustain that kind of pressure. So I hope things improve by training programs being conducted by you. Ahmedabad benefits, Gujarat benefits, and the whole cultural heritage disaster is reduced. Thank you very much.
I would like to invite Shri P.K. Ghosh sir, Anjana ma'am, and Himanshu sir to be on dais.
ठीक है नीचे कमेंट
I would request our director, Himanshu sir, to please honor Shri P.K. Ghosh with little vote of honor on behalf of LG University.
The tradition of Tulsi Point. Small moment.
Okay, thank you everyone. Lastly, we will end we'll call it a day by thanking everyone. I thank Shri Taj Hassan, IPS Executive Director, NIDM Delhi, Shri Dinesh Avasthi, Vice Chancellor of LJK University, Ahmedabad, our program directors, Professor Santosh Kumar, Head GIDRR NIDM New Delhi, Dr. Anjana Vyas, Professor at LJKU Ahmedabad, the program directors from NIDM, Mr. Ali Heather, Mr. Vivek Sharma. Also, I would like to thank our speakers, Professor Nuran from Istanbul, Dr. Erika Parisi from University of Florence, Italy, Mr. Hiren Gandhi, Mr. Pradyuman Singh Chauhan, Shri P.K. Ghosh sir, IS, Professor Anjana Vyas again for delivering the expert sessions and give all the knowledge they could from their experiences. I would also like to thank our Director of School of Architecture, Planning and Design, Mr. Himanshu Thakkar, who always encourages us for such kind of activities and training programs. I would also like to thank our IT support, Heta ma'am and Husnan Mirza. I would also thank my 24/7 colleague, Akansha Upadhyay and Rohit Ninje for supporting me and coordinating, helping me throughout these sessions. All the coordinators, students, volunteers, especially Neha from Emplan, and all the camera support we have in our team, in our students. Thank you participants online for hearing and our training session so patiently. Thank you everyone.